Hey guys, let's talk about some spiritual gurus. Now, I've never made a video specifically about this topic before, but it's been something that I've woven into many videos that I've been making on this channel for a long time, 5 years, guys. And I've been talking about this. And I tell this to my YouTube audience, you guys, and of course my paying customers as well. Everybody needs to hear this. That you need to be not a follower of New World All-Star. My job is to make independent, free, spiritual badass masters out of you. And if that's not what I endeavor to do, then why bother? Why even get out of bed every day? And that's really what I hope your approach is with other spiritual teachers, spiritual leaders. I hope you look at it that way. This teacher you're listening to, me or anybody else that you could be listening to, hopefully has something valuable to offer you. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, we as humans learn and at other times teach. And it's a very important role to teach and or to learn, but the buck stops where it turns into something where you find yourself in need of the teacher. And even worse is when the teacher gives you the impression that you need them. I don't like that. And here's another interesting phenomenon of, humans. Humans are kind of funny, We do some funny things. There's the social trope about, you got to think for yourself and don't just be a follower of other people. Be your own master. Be your own leader. Think for yourself. I mean, basically, right? I'm mincing my words a little bit, but that's kind of the gist of what you'll hear people say, and it's just kind of one of these ideas that gets passed around in society. But funny enough, with as much as you hear people say stuff like that, that doesn't stop them from kind of being sheeple. And sometimes I wonder if maybe there's just always going to be people that are like that. And I think that's probably true. And to me, that means that the people who find themselves in a leadership position had better do a better job, right? Because if there's going to be people that can be easily influenced, then the leaders need to be very wholesome. And what's interesting about the spiritual teachers that I like, and I'll give you some names in a minute, but they tend to be spiritual teachers who are leaders in their sphere of influence, and they just kind of ended up there one day. Like, yeah, they were working at it. There was action on their part. There was a desire for them to help as many people as possible and to spread this message they had. But the thing is, their message was an important one. It was a legitimate one. And before you know it, they just found themselves as somebody that a lot of people would listen to. And that's kind of how I think I ended up here. This has been a very organic growth curve for me. 5 years ago when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't think I would end up here. But I guess it is kind of easy to understand because of my approach. The teachers that I like are going to be Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Eckhart Tolle. I like Michael Singer, Jon Kabat-Zinn. These are people, and I could list a lot of other ones, but I think you kind of get the idea. These are people, Michael Beckwith. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, but these are people who just are passionate about the teaching. These are people who are passionate about the teaching. And that's what sets them apart from some spiritual guru who just needs validation. And they just want followers. And it becomes very cult-like. I even have a rule in my New World All-Star Facebook group where there's certain spiritual teachers that we don't allow you to post teachings or videos or quotes from, because they've turned out to be cult leaders. I would appreciate it, by the way, if you would not name names in the comments section of this video. Speaking of Facebook, by the way, I need to get better about doing this because I keep forgetting to do this. I'm on other places on the internet if you're interested. There's Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I just hit 10,000 followers on TikTok, Instagram, right? And I'm here too. If you want to check me out, I'm going to start posting content more regularly starting tomorrow, every Friday. That's my goal. At least one video every week on Fridays is what I'm going to try to do. Maybe two sometimes. So check me out over here. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. It's not very hard to figure out what is the right role. And if you're on this channel, I would hope that you're somebody who is not really a follower of me or anybody else, but does benefit from the teaching. And that's what's important, is it's about the teaching. It's about the message. And something that I often talk about on this YouTube channel, and in my coaching program too, my paid coaching program, we talk about this all the time. What are healthy boundaries? What is right relationship between you and other people? And it's a very interesting conversation, and it's one that can be very blurred in a lot of online communities. And I think a lot of the people in those communities, the people running those communities, maybe they mean well, but then they end up in a position where instead of being a good custodian of the message, they get a lot of attention from people and a lot of validation from people. And then they end up liking it, And here's me going out in public. I've been spotted in public a couple of times. One time I was with my twin flame. We were hanging out at the Crystal Shop in Denver, and we got spotted together, and it was awkward for me. I'm sorry, I've never been like famous before or whatever this is. I guess famous is the word. I don't know. I just get up here and do my thing, but it wasn't like that I was unhappy about it. It was just like I've never had like whatever, like attention, fame, people that look to me like I'm some kind of a big deal or something. And, this person was just all elated to see me. And of course, my twin flame too. And it was just awkward. I didn't know what to say. Or what to do, but it was fine. I mean, I was polite, and, I tried to crack some jokes, and I don't know, but that's me, I'm just me. I don't know. I don't need that. And I don't think any of the spiritual teachers that I mentioned earlier need that. And that's kind of what you want to look for. You don't need a guru. I don't even like that word. When people call me guru, I'm like, ugh. Don't call me a guru. Teacher, sure. And I guess if I had to tell people what I do for a living, I tell them I'm a spiritual teacher. That's what I tell people. But I don't know, guys. I want masters. Like, what's the point of me doing any of this if if my mindset isn't where I got to make you at least as good as I am or better. And I know everybody's going to end up in different places, but at least my output is the same, my effort is the same, and I think of myself as being equal to everybody else opportunity-wise, opportunity, equality of opportunity. And, I try to run things very, very responsibly. That's another way that you can tell if you're dealing with a person, a teacher, spiritual teacher, leader, right? For better or for worse, I'm a leader. Greg Braden is a spiritual leader. He's a community leader. Eckhart Tolle is a leader. And again, like I said earlier, the good ones, you'll find that they just kind of end up there somehow. They don't, again, there's effort, but whether or not they're going to end up being a leader has a lot to do with whether or not their message is good or not. Now, once they get there, another indicator is going to be, how do they run things? How do they run their business, for example? What are their ethical practices? What are their what are their dealings like when they deal with other people? And that'll tell you a lot too. New World All-Star, like the coaching system, for example. For starters, I don't charge thousands of dollars for my twin flame coaching. I might raise my prices on the law of attraction coaching to something like that, $1,200 or something. I'm thinking about doing that someday. But the twin flame coaching is different because the people are like super desperate and they'll do anything. And they'll throw any amount of money at you, and I don't feel good taking any amount of money from them. Now, the law of attraction coaching is like something that you do because you want to do it. When you're in a desperate way with your twin flame situation, you feel like you're doing it because you have to do it, and you'll do anything to make the pain stop. So that's number one right there. I don't feel right charging higher prices than I do. The other thing is, just kind of the way that I run things. My current coach who assists me, she's currently doing tarot readings on this channel too, and she's really freaking good at it, man. I watch her tarot readings because they're entertaining. I just think they're fun to watch. Someday I'm not going to be watching her tarot readings because right now it's kind of a training thing, right? But still, like when I do watch them, I'm like, this is really good. They're really good. Well, anyway, when I started, or when she started working for me, it didn't take her very long to take a look around and assess. And she says to me, she goes, you run this shit legit, dude. Like, you run this like a business, like kind of the way you're supposed to, like a real company. I said, yeah, I do that on purpose. And to me, I just kind of look at it like, well, why wouldn't you? Because if you don't fuck around and you don't jerk people around, I don't know, life is just going to be easier. Call me crazy, but if you play by the rules, life tends to be a little bit easier, doesn't it? And so, I've got, I pay my people vacation and sick time, and they get personal days, and I pay them properly like you're supposed to. I pay them a decent amount of money. I don't just pay them like minimum wage or some crap like that. I got unemployment insurance and workers' comp and liability insurance, and I'm doing all the things, guys. And I pay my taxes to the government and everything. I do everything by the book. And, there's certain problems that running a business brings too. There's people that try to swindle you. There's always people that are trying to like figure out some shisty little way to like get things from us that we don't owe them. People do that. It comes with the turf. But even then, you still try to handle things in a fair way And I've just always done that. That's just what I do. And I do that in my personal relationships and my business relationships. I try to do everything by the book. And even if you look at like the teachings on this channel, the core teachings that I offer are ancient spiritual teachings. These are things that have always worked. You know, spiritualism in general is consciousness, and always has been, always will be at its core. And here's all these New Agers coming with, well, we've got this new wheel concept. You know, the wheel is great. You put an axle on two of them, you put it on your vehicle, it makes the car go, it's round, it's a wheel, and it works so great. But we've got this new concept called the square tire, and this is a really amazing upgrade. And, you know, they use language like markety kind of language. And I'm just making an analogy here, but, you know, you'll hear things like that, like, oh, it's this new wheel concept. We've got reinvent the wheel, you know. And I've seen like marketers use that. Like I went to this restaurant a couple of weeks ago where they were like, yeah, it's a new dining concept called the blah, blah, blah thing. And, you know, they'll use markety kind of language like that. And I see that online with like spiritualism too. And I just kind of shake my head because you don't need to do that stuff. The human machine is the same machine it's always been. And it's because we're getting away from that there's more of a breakdown. And then you get into all these weird healing modalities that you see on the internet all the time. And it's just healing, 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 healing left and right. Healing, healing, healing. I need to do more healing here, more healing there. Heal, heal, heal. And I'm not even saying that healing is bad, but they do it so much that at some point you got to ask yourself, well, if all I ever do is healing for the whole rest of my life, and that's all I ever do ever, forever and ever, when can I be healed? When can I be healed? And there's another kind of red flag to look out for. With, you know, some of these gurus on the internet, and, you know, it's, I'll give you $25 off the next healing session. And they put you in a perpetual state of feeling like you're broken. And a lot of them, like the healing modalities that they tell you to do, some of them are so toxic sometimes that a psychologist would never tell you. They would be like, no, don't do that. And a lot of the stuff that you see online, these spiritual gurus talking about, they're not spiritual. It's either psychology or metaphysics, or a combination of the two. Guys, spiritual is consciousness, non-duality. Always has been, always will be. The true spiritual journey. That's all it is. That's why people love Eckhart Tolle so much, and Michael Singer, and the Buddha. And the whole establishment of Buddhism is kind of a funny thing. You know, religion isn't necessarily bad, but it can be taken too far, and then you add a bunch of beliefs to it. You add a bunch of dogma and rules and all this kind of stuff. And all the Buddha was trying to say was, you're not your mind. You're the silent witness of the mind. You are this joy that will just organically emerge with time when you remember who you are. You are a soul. The soul is consciousness. And these are ancient teachings that go back thousands of years because they work. They don't need to be reinvented. We don't need a new spiritual way to do things, a new concept, you know? And that's why I've been such an effective teacher. I just stick to what works, and that's it. And there's lots of other teachers too. The interesting thing is there's lots that you can talk about still, even when you just stick to the core of non-dual teachings. Oh, Rupert Spira is another one that I really like. You should take a look around. on the channels section, the channels menu of my YouTube channel here, and check out some of the spiritual teachers that I really like. I think I've named them all. You know, Ram Dass was another decent one. You know, he's kind of fun to listen to. You know, some of the old recordings, Alan Watts, he was really good. There's a reason that these teachers are the ones that are revered as the classics, because the message is consistent. You are consciousness. You are beyond the body and the mind. And that's what they all say. And that's all you need, guys. That's all you need. And you just let the consciousness of self do its magic. That's all you need. And I can't give you that. I can't give that to you. I can just keep delivering this message to you over and over again. And I hope it's received. And that's all I can hope for, is to just deliver the message to you the best way that I can. And then eventually, you know, you'll move up into more like holistic teaching, HOL, holistic, where the mind becomes the tool of the consciousness. So after that remembrance, after you get more and more used to the mindfulness component, the remembrance that you are consciousness, you can learn to wield the ego mind for its intended purpose and live in harmony with it. And then you're healed. And then you don't need me anymore. That's kind of my hope, is that I'll get you to a place where you won't even need me anymore. That's what I'd like. I'd like that for you very much. And I think that's what all great spiritual teachers can hope for. And that's one of the big ways that you can tell the difference between a bad one and a good one, right? Well, guys, I hope you found this video helpful. Interesting dialogue today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a great week.